Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Coahuila in Mexico. Coahuila, as you can see, is in northern Mexico, sharing a border with the United States via the state of Texas, which is very important to its history. And of course, along that US-Mexico border is a river that in the United States we call it the Rio Grande. In Mexico it is called Rio Bravo del Norte. So in Coahuila they'd say Rio Bravo del Norte. Coahuila is within the Chihuahuan Desert, which we talked about when we covered Chihuahua State a few weeks ago. But the desert really sweeps in here, creating a very dry, arid climate for most of the state. But it's also quite mountainous. The Sierra Madre Oriental Mountains really come through like all here. It's kind of hard to see because the crease of my atlas goes right through it. But all this area here is pretty mountainous, going down to here as well. Big mountains with lots of like drier areas around, including a very interesting area that's kind of down here in this part of the mountains, kind of where the desert meets the mountains. It is the Cuatro Ciénegas Basin, and it's an area where there are a lot of salt pans all throughout, assuming from a time when this was all under the ocean, and various lakes dried as the continent shifted, I would assume. But it's a really beautiful landscape, and of course we'll look at it on Google Earth. Also very famous for dinosaur finds in this area. Good environment for dinosaur bones. The capital of the state is Saltillo, you can see over here. Another very important city that we'll mention is Torreon, over here on the border with Durango State. There's also Piedras Negras up here on the border, Ciudad Acuña. Also, we'll talk about these border towns kind of toward the end of the history section, but I think we should just jump right into the history section, don't you? I think so. I think we're about there. There's a very long history in this place, not just from the dinosaurs, but from humans as well. There's been evidence of humans living in what is now Coahuila State since about the 10th millennium BCE. The archaeology research, from what I can tell, isn't that like well established, which is weird because that's going to be true for another area that we're going to talk about down there in Panama later this week. So I feel like I'm getting my facts mixed up, but I feel like the archaeological sites in Coahuila haven't been nearly as explored as they could be, but there are new sites found quite frequently. There's one last year I was reading about, actually on Wikipedia. It was the only source I found about it, so hopefully it's accurate. But they've been finding burial sites from nomadic peoples who would bury people in caves, and they're dated from about the 1200s to 1500s CE. So surely there's some very interesting cultures that once existed in this area. The Spanish would arrive in this part of Mexico in 1577, starting to create settlements. The Saltillo area was founded around 1591, and it was like a double city where one side was for the Spanish and the other side would be for the indigenous Tlaxcala people that they brought up from more central Mexico, kind of toward near Mexico City-ish, because as the Spaniards were taking down the Aztecs, they allied with a couple other indigenous groups that were enemies of the Aztecs. And they brought one of those groups, the Tlaxcala, up here to settle, kind of to boost the population, but also to try to push back against the Chichimec peoples who were violently resisting the Spanish, as they should. But they did help out. That population bloomed, and there's still a population of Tlaxcala indigenous peoples in this area today. Now, things get very tricky politically up here with Mexico's independence from Spain. In 1824, the new state of Coahuila y Texas was created, which consisted of Coahuila and Texas. Texas, of course, at this time being part of Mexico. But that wouldn't last long. In 1836, Texas would declare independence and become the Republic of Texas. But of course, Mexico did not recognize that and just, consider Texas still part of Mexico. There was another movement to create a new country within the borders of Mexico and Texas, kind of like this area here. That would be called the Republic of Rio Grande, or Rio Grande if you're extra American. It lasted only during the year 1840. The whole point was to resist General Santa Anna, who was very much I always thought of Santa Anna as like the Napoleon of Mexico. Not in the sense of like taking over and becoming emperor, but being like the military crusader, They were rebelling against him, but they would be defeated by the Mexican army near Saltillo, and that would crumble apart. Everything would change when the United States would annex Texas in 1845, sparking the Mexican-American War. There were, of course, quite a few conflicts in the area here, being right on the Texas border. The largest being the 1847 Battle of Buena Vista near Saltillo. Very famously, the United States would win that war and get to keep Texas and a lot more other land they took from Mexico. The borders of Coahuila would change and shift until becoming these stable borders in the late 1800s. But not long after that would be the Mexican Revolution. And there's quite a bit of activity here. Pancho Villa was very predominant in this area, so was Venustiano Carranza, future president of Mexico. But it's been a relatively quiet place in at least the latter half of the 20th century into the 21st. Industry has really blossomed in the cities of Coahuila. You can see Piedras Negras, which means black stones, which refers to coal. Lots and lots of mining happening. Also lots of metals being mined here. Also a lot of manufacturing. There's a concept in Mexico of businesses known as maquiladoras, which you'll find in the border cities around the border with the United States and Mexico, where they are manufacturing plants owned by companies in the United States, but manufactured in Mexico so that it's cheaper for the companies. They don't have to pay the employees as much. There's a lot of those in the cities around here. Meanwhile, Saltillo is known as the Detroit of Mexico due to its automobile industry. There's also a lot of industry in Torreon. Also lots of farming as well in this area here. Lots of agriculture. And of course, mining. Big mining history here in Torreon. They have a whole mining museum we might take a peek at if we have time. But that is essentially the history of Coahuila State. So with that being said, why don't I go grab my tablet and we will explore Coahuila on Google Earth. Let's go. Here we are in Coahuila State. But let's, of course, start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. Here's Mexico. Very, very easy to find on the globe because it has such a distinct shape. Baja California, we've already covered on the channel, but it's right at the southernmost areas of North America, reaching into Central America. The Yucatan Peninsula is right there, the Gulf of Mexico, so on and so forth. Very easy to find Mexico. So we are up here in the north, and you can even see from this far away all of the mountains in the state. Look at that. Let's start up in the north, though, along the Rio Grande Basin here. Except, I'm not sure if there's anything I wanted to show you. Make sure that the everything filter, is on. You can really see the more deserty landscape here, though. I don't think there was anything in particular I needed to show you up here. Especially since when I was poking around, I kept wandering into Texas. You can see these big dammed areas here. I know this big one, I believe, is shared between the US and Mexico, Amistad, but I didn't double check that. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what I read. Yeah, there's Piedras Negras, and you can see, let's look at the border. Surely there's a big crossing. Oh, look. You see him up the northern front? Wow. Trying to see like the stuff in the museum. Not really. There's Venustiano Carranza. Pretty cool. But yeah, let me see the border. I feel like I looked at this. Yeah, not very exciting. Not a lot of great photos up here, but it's not really like a tourist town. As you can see, it's very industrialized. There's the industrial zone right there. But yeah, let's head over to this area over here. Let me get the borders back up, just in case. Because, yeah, like Big Bend over here is in the United States. Not today. In a few weeks we'll go to the United States, but not today. That's a gorgeous canyon, isn't it? What a landscape. The horse is getting a little drink. Oh, some neat wares for sale. All handmade by the looks of it. Look how gorgeous. Wow. Little caves, little horses. Wait. Little horses. So cute. And just a gorgeous landscape in general. Cacti and beautiful vistas, some sand dunes as well. Big trees and big cacti. How gorgeous. And there's a Corta Blanca Mexican antiques and cold beer. Nice. Oh, a bighorn sheep. And a deer. And a little chapel. How nice. There's a couple of neat little slideshows up here in the northern part of the state. As always, I highly recommend that you explore these areas for yourself. We've got a dinosaur exhibit here. Look at it coming out of the stone there. Yeah, look at this painted landscape here. Little bands of history running across all of the rocks here. Gosh, I can only read like every other word. I'm not going to try to translate that. But yeah, what a nice little area here, little lagoon. Looks like there's horses taking a little break in the water over there as well. A beautiful waterfall cascading down. A nice landscape. Here's the Cuatro Cienegas. There's these beautiful little pools. You can see they're a bit brackish because they're salty. But still nice to swim in. Just don't drink it. But here's a big salt pan here. A walkway over this wetland. And a big cactus here, admiring the stars above. What a nice photo. Dinosaurs. And a turtle. That looks like a snapping turtle. When they have those little pointed faces like these, that usually means they bite. Stay away from those turtles. They're usually not very nice. Pretty lily pads there on this pond. You can get some kayaks out there and explore. Wow, what a beautiful landscape. I got a totem pole for some reason. Yeah, what a neat place to enjoy a hot day. There are all kinds of slideshows over here. I was exploring this area a lot. Yeah, I love this pool of water. This is usually what pops up when you look up anything about Coahuila State. See some farmland there. We're heading into the farm area. But yeah, look how mountainous this area is. Put it in 3D so you can get more of a perspective of this landscape. Very dry mountain. So there's the little Las Playitas right there. Gorgeous. And little salt pans. Look at that water. Super salty. It sounds like there's cats running around outside. Sorry if they're disturbing you. I can't control them. But over here we have Torreon, which has like a lot of neat things in it, actually. There's a really cool museum in the park, but I have to remember where the park is. This park. Yes. This is the Laguna Museum, or the Lake Museum. Look at that cool, like bendy artwork there. Lots of fossils, of course. Gold dinosaurs. Beautiful gold there. That looks very Spanish. Something all bundled up there. Lots of little archaeology. Beautiful clothes. My cat's growling at each other. It's like some Aztec art here. More Aztec art. That's pretty. I don't know which one is scarier. Whoops. Which one's creepier? The nose skull or the face that's sinister and excited at the same time? I don't know. Those creep me out. Oh, indigenous clothes. They look at these masks. That must be for a holiday. Lagunera. Whoa. Man, these masks are really kind of upsetting. But, like, I'm sure there are supposed to be some more Spanish treasures there. Very cool. There's more museums over here. They're all great, by the way. But I think the best one that I want to show you is not popping up. Was it this one? I was saying that? I think so. No. I mean, this one's pretty cool, but like, wow. A reconstruction of a bathroom that still could be used today. I guess the old radio is pretty cool. You don't see a lot of those. There's the mining museum. How come the museum I want to show you isn't popping up? Now my cat is biting the wires under the desk. He's making a lot of noise. Okay. I'll let you guys find it, I suppose. It's not popping up. But even more exciting is over here on top of this hill here. Is it this one? Yes. See this right here? It is a big Jesus. Look at that. It's huge. It's very big. And, standing over the city, very Rio de Janeiro style. Let's look at this slideshow. I can get a better look. Ta-da! It's pretty big. you know what's also wild? Dinosaurs. Not that. But we're going to go to a place in Bolivia in 2 days that has an even bigger Jesus statue. You think that's big? Just wait. Be sure to subscribe so you can see one even bigger than this. Oh, you can be an angel too and get this beautiful view of the city. And dinosaurs, of course. Lots of dinosaurs. Lots and lots of dinosaurs. And I know there's an archaeology museum over here I wanted to show you, but I think there's a better one over in Saltillo, so let's go explore that. All these museums, though, are great. That's the mining museum. Okay, then. Wait, if that's the mining museum... Oh, well, I won't stress about it. It's fine. We're going to look at the one at Saltillo next. Let's hop over to Saltillo. That's, oops, Monterrey is too far. That's in the next state over. There's Saltillo. Saltillo. Yeah, the two city plan that I mentioned in history is no longer. They've merged and become just one big city. Gosh, I wrote down its original name in my notes, but now I can't see them because the lights are on. But anyway. It's not this museum, is it? No, but it's pretty cool too. They've got dinosaurs. Maybe it is this museum. Look at the moas. Big birds. Big eagles. Big water birds. Dinosaurs, of course. Harpy eagle. An eagle eating a snake on a cactus. A big owl. Wow, look at the turkey vulture. They're such cool birds. And a quetzal. Beautiful. That's not the museum I wanted to show you. Where is... It's in this park. It's right here. This museum. The Museum of the Desert. I told you these people were big on dinosaurs. Look, this must have been during the pandemic. They gave it a big mask. It's full of dinosaurs here. Look at all the dinosaurs. It's like the Animal Crossing Museum here, isn't it? Look at this. I don't like that. That's, oh my gosh, a bug. You scared me, little one. These giant bears here. And then a little bug pops up. There's a car with cactuses growing out of it. Lions and tigers and bears. Interesting. Big snaky. Triceratops. Big jaguar. Big T-Rex. Little house. Look at all the bones. My goodness. Big polar bears. Rawr, rawr, rawr. I don't know what polar bears are doing here. Oso polar. What the? This isn't in the desert. Little bobcat. More bones. Wow. Look at the Spinosaurus. Pretty cool. Oh, cool. I don't know. But that's pretty neat. Little art pieces, I think. I think that's what that's supposed to be. Yeah, that museum's pretty cool. Out of all the museums there, I want to go to that one, right, little bug? Little bug, you gotta move. You gotta go. You gotta go. Okay, bye. Yeah, I think that was my favorite thing I saw here in Saltillo. There's lots of nice little parks and, you know, old churches and stuff. The cathedral's over here. You always know where the Plaza Mayor is if you look for, or the Plaza de Armas in this case. If you find the cathedral. Look how pretty. Plaza de Armas, which is like the place that you go to rally your militia. Wow, big altar there. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to show you here? There's the Costco. I know they had Costco Costco's in Mexico. That's pretty great. Rancho Santo Domingo. Look how mountainous it is over here. What's happening at Rancho Santo Domingo? Oh my gosh, they're cooking up some chilies. There's another dinosaur rock. Pretty cool. Oh, sweet horse. Oh, that's pretty. Cactus there. Looks like flowers. I guess it technically is flowers. Look how pretty. It's kind of the landscape I think of when I think of like Mexican desert. Something like that. Without the cacti aren't there, you know. But oh wow. You're doing a reenactment here. Or maybe it's just a parade. More chilies getting cooked up here at the cookout. That's fun. Looks like a neat place. But yeah, there are all kinds of neat little mountains out here. Let me make sure I'm still in Coahuila and not in Nuevo Leon or anything. Yep, see, that's Nuevo Leon. I accidentally found some neat places in Nuevo Leon too. Texas and Nuevo Leon. But yeah, there's all kinds of neat little things to see out here. Let's end it on this mountain. Sierra San Marcos. Beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. If you can, please hype this video. I've noticed that when my videos get more hypes, they do extremely well. Not just better, but like really, really well. So I'd appreciate if you could hype this video if you have hype points. But also don't forget to like this video and let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. Next in the series, we're heading over to, I thought that was on my screen. It's on their windshield. We're heading over to Slovenia next. Good old Slovenia. I am going to show you the creepiest cave you've ever seen. It is massive and scary and just the setting of a horror movie, in my opinion. That's what it looks like to me. You gotta see it. Be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good